So in today's video, we're going to be looking at yet another Kyosho car. This one is the Inferno GT2 race spec, and this has one of the nicest and sexiest bodies I've seen on an RC in a very long time. This is the 2020 Mercedes AMG GT3, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. Kyosho are knocking it out of the park with their bodies and the detail that they put on them, and this one here is no exception. And for those of you with a keen eye, you might be looking at the little handle over here, and you'll notice that this is actually a nitro version. It's a 2-speed nitro. It looks amazing, but just like the USA one that I unboxed a little while ago, this is not my car. I'm only going to be doing the unboxing. However, the owner did tell me that he's planning on running this car, so hopefully I'll get some running footage for it in the future. But for now, let's get rid of the box and find out what you get inside. Okay, so here's everything that you get when you take one of these out of the box. You get the car fully assembled and ready to go. You get some manuals, you get some tools, and of course you get the radio. So first thing here is a bind plug. Now you may not need this right away. The radio should already be pre-bound to the car out of the box. But should you lose bind to the car, they give you the tool to be able to bind the radio back onto the receiver. You get a bag with some tools, and you get that run-in ring in there as well for when you're doing the first few tanks and running in the engine. You get the air filter here. There's some zip ties, a couple of tools, some Allen keys, some pretty basic stuff here. There are no screwdrivers or anything like that for you to like adjust your low end and high end needles, so you're going to need to get at least some other tools. There's no glow igniters, there's no batteries. This is everything that you get. So there's still a few things that you're going to need to get if you are totally new to nitro. And then of course you're going to be looking at two main manuals. There are two very comprehensive manuals in here, one of which is I'm going to be talking about in regards to the radio. This first one is basically just exploded views of the car itself. So it talks about, you know, you got part numbers for all the exploded views for all the components, how to disassemble. So they basically give you a manual as if you were building the car as a kit. So if you are wanting to work on a particular area of the car, you basically have to go in reverse to what's in this manual, which is kind of cool in a way, because it's pretty easy to just grab some screwdrivers and start pulling things apart. But then how things go back together, you do sometimes forget if you are fairly new in the hobby. And having a manual like this definitely comes in handy. So you got exploded views, part numbers, all sorts of things. Tells you about how to tune the car at the back as well. There's that run-in ring that I was talking about. And then you've got like tuning, and it's all written in English and Japanese or Chinese or whatever. So there's yeah, multiple languages, a lot of information there, some good bedtime reading for you guys to go through. Now this one here, this is more about like how to set up the car, how to drive, talks about the functions of the radio, because this radio actually has an LCD screen, so it's a little bit more complex than your typical radio because it doesn't have a lot of analog switches. It's all very digital, but it basically tells you how to put your batteries in, you know, basic stuff, how to set up your steering and all this. Now when you get towards the end of this manual, you're going to find some information regarding the radio. So the radio's got like a screen. This radio has actually got a 15 model memory, which is fantastic. And you're going to need to sort of go through this, how to adjust endpoints, all of this sort of stuff is on here. There's also a third channel switch which is not in use. So if you are very new to this, this is definitely one that you're going to be wanting to read as well. And now for the radio itself, and like I said, this guy is a little bit different. It's got a digital screen on it, and you know, it's a bit of a step up from the previous radios that I've unboxed from Kyosho, which are these ones. These are kind of like standard across their entire range. And look, there's nothing wrong with this particular radio. It's got a lot of functions and a lot of features that some of the other ready-to-run radios don't have. But Kyosho have gone a step further now, and they've brought out this one. And I believe the electric version also has the exact same radio, because I did see Ready Set RC did an unboxing of the electric version of this car, and they had the exact same radio. So really cool to see these being included now. I don't know if it's just these high-end cars that come with these radios, or if this is a sign of things to come, that we may be seeing these radios in other vehicles down the line as well. So this runs on 4 AA's, but of course batteries are not included. However, I did install some batteries in here just so I could show you how the radio actually works. So we're going to turn this on just like that, and this is your default screen. So over here you have the model selector, which is that guy there, and then you have model name on this guy, and that's just the voltage of the battery is just there. By pushing down on the wheel, you get into the menus, and you can scroll across. As you can see there, you can see all the different menus that you've got. You got EPAs, you got trim settings, you got exponentials, and then you are on your model screen. Push down on the wheel again, and you can select which model you want to have, which one you want to use. There you go. There you can see you got 15 in total that you can have. Push down again, and you go down onto these little guys here, and you can adjust the name. So you can name your model whatever it is you want to name it, and then just hit back a couple of times, and it takes you back to the main screen. Really easy menu system to use, very intuitive. You still have your throttle trim and your steering trim up here, so this is still, you know, they're digital switches, but they're still there to be used. This is a 3rd channel switch, which is currently not being used on this model, but you can hook up whatever it is you want to hook up to that later on. And that's pretty much it. You got your on and off switch back here, and it's a brilliant radio. I mean, it's got a nice rubberized grip on the back, which is nice and comfortable to hold in the hand. It's got a thick handle as well, which is good for big mitts like mine. Nice, you know, ergonomic sort of wheel design. No collapsible antennas to break off or anything like that. This is a huge plus, and I absolutely love the Kyosho have done this. Well done. I love this radio. And here we are for the main event. And can we just take a second to admire how gorgeous this body actually is? I mean, Kyosho have done a fantastic job capturing the essence and the sexiness that is this AMG GT3. It is a gorgeous looking car. I know that when I see these things out on the road, in the wild, I can't help but drool. Because I mean, let's face it, I'm never going to be able to afford one of these cars. So to have one of these, even though it is an RC car, to have it here on the bench, just puts a smile on my face. I can't help it. So yeah, just take a moment to admire this one. While I give a shout out to Simon once again, who was the guy that lent me the USA one to do an unboxing here on the channel. And he has now lent me this car as well to do an unboxing. So big shout out to Simon. Thanks heaps, man. Really appreciate it. But unlike the USA one where he may or may not drive it, this one he did tell me he was going to drive it. So hopefully we'll get some running footage of this thing in the future once, you know, he has some time and I have some time, and we can go out there and do some filming. So for now, I'm going to give you guys a bit of a spin around and kind of walk you through the body and all its little features. So we've got the mirrors here. Now these don't have like a glass mirror or anything like that. It's just a grey sticker that they put on there, and it kind of pivots. It's got a little body pin underneath. It just pivots here like that. So you can fold them in or leave them out. But being on a road car, you're unlikely to really knock them unless you're smacking into curbs or walls or something like that. The rear here, I love this wing mount. I love the way that they've done that. It looks absolutely fantastic. And then the tail lights look really authentic, and you can apparently put some LEDs in here if you want to light them up. You got a little bit of a grey sort of paint on the underside of the body here. Spin around. Got some more stickers going along here, the mirror, and then of course the front where you can put some more LEDs on the headlights, and you've got this massive grille just here with the grey splitter painted on there as well. Now there are a couple of criticisms that I'm going to be pointing out on the body, because as much as I love it and as sexy as it is, I still feel the Kyosho could have done something a little bit better to really finish off this car. One of them being that they could have put a rear diffuser in the back here, because there's nothing back here. And I just feel that when you're running the car, this is probably going to end up parachuting a bit. So I really feel that they could have finished this off a little bit nicer back here. And now the other thing, which is more cosmetic than anything else, it's just in regards to the way that they actually finished off this body. And I'll take the body pins off here real quick, and I'll show you what I mean. So you've got this beautiful like metallic pearl sort of orange that they got going on here, but all of the grey bits, with the exception of the splitter on the front and a little bit on the back here, just there, sorry, this is all stickers. So they've got stickers all along the side, along the top, all the windows here, the bonnet, all of this everywhere is just stickers. So all the pinstriping and everything is just stickers. And I just feel like they could have done this painted, could they not? Unless there is some legitimate reason why they couldn't have done that. I just feel like putting stickers everywhere kind of cheapens it out a little bit, especially when you're talking about in a nitro car like this where you got fumes and everything else. I'm just not sure how the stickers are going to hold up in the long term with fuel and all that sort of playing a part in it. Are they going to come off? Now, I put the question to you guys out there that run nitro as well. Are stickers an issue on Lexan bodies, you know, when you get nitro fumes and things like that playing on them? So is this going to be an issue for this particular car? Because I just feel like they could have painted some of these things and just done a couple of small stickers here and there. That's really it. It still looks good. I'm not criticizing that. I'm just worried about the longevity of it. That's really it. So underneath, you can see the light buckets there on the front, and they've also bolted on this little badge that you see here. It does have a sticker over the top, but it is bolted on in there. And of course you can see your mirrors there with the little body pins, and then of course you've got the back end here where you mount the spoiler, and you got some more light buckets there for the rear lights. The body itself is actually quite thick and rigid. It's quite a nice body. It's not a flimsy body by any means. So I think this guy's going to hold up well, you know, in the long run as far as the durability of the body itself. Like I said, I'm just a little bit worried about the stickers. Now, for the car itself, here it is here in all its glory. I'm going to try and run through this as quickly as possible. So we've got the tires, which I believe are belted, and these are actually a little bit sticky as well, so they do feel quite nice. Running 17mm hexes, which means you can swap them out to pretty much any on-road tire that you like to use, which is always a good thing. We've got a nice big beefy foam bumper at the front of the car here, and it does have a little bit of a kick up, which I think is going to be handy if you're, you know, sort of driving up your driveway or something like that, and you know, that you're not going to all of a sudden just rip the front end of the car off. Suspension wise, feels a little bit bouncy, a little bit under dampened or perhaps oversprung. I just, yeah, I'm not sure how the suspension of this car is going to go. I suppose we'll have to drive it to really find out. Shocks, I'm a little bit disappointed with the shocks. I gotta say, these are not 8 scale shocks. This is something that you'd sort of see on a 10 scale short course truck. Plastic bodied, aluminium caps, although the whole cap is not alloy, it's just that ring around the plastic cap there. And then you've got the aluminium little threaded washer that you use to adjust the spring tension on the shock. Shock shafts look to be like 2.5, maybe 3mm thick. That'll be about it. I mean, look, all things considered, as long as the caps don't come off, which on a road car they really shouldn't, because you're not doing any massive jumps or anything like that, they should perform okay. But again, industry standard here. You know, we got massive big bore shocks on cars like the Felony and the Infraction platforms. Even the ZD Racing EX07, which was that Hoonigan car, that's got proper 8 scale shocks in there as well. So I don't see why Kyosho need to go for small shocks. I mean, sure, they may work great and they may perform well, but you know, people are going to look at this and they're going to go, well, hang on, why am I getting tiny little shocks on an 8 scale car? It doesn't make a lot of sense. Adjustable body posts front and rear. We do have plastic shock towers. This is another thing that I feel should really be alloy, but they do use plastic shock towers. They do have some adjustments, some interesting adjustments on the shock towers. You can see that there's 3 adjustment points there for the shocks at the top, but then there's another row down the bottom. And I'm not sure if this is supposed to be used to compress the shock so you mount it lower, or you actually swap out the shock for something else to, you know, fit within that length. So interesting design there. The front also has that type of design. You got 3 on top, but only 2 on the bottom. So you can do the same sort of thing there as well, which I find kind of interesting. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. 5mm drive shafts in the back, just there. Nice beefy A-arms over here. A couple of mounting points on the A-arms for the shocks as well. Plastic hubs on the you know, axle housing, or axle hubs, axle carriers rather, on the rear. And then at the front, we actually have aluminium steering knuckles with universal drive shafts right there. So these actually nice little upgrade. The only concern I have is this. Very, very wobbly. I mean, look at the slop on this thing. I mean, you can probably tighten some of this up, but come on. That's a little bit too much slop for my liking out of the box. That would need to be kind of, fixed up somehow. No sway bars pre-installed on this guy. However, you do have droop screws pre-installed at the front. So you will see that there are some droop screws, one little guy right there, and there's another one right there. There it is there. So looking at the chassis itself, actually before we get onto the chassis, we do have an alloy Ankerman here, and we also have an aluminium top plate just there. Plastic chassis braces front and rear. We've got a spring-loaded servo saver, which is also adjustable right there. We have a battery box just here, which runs the standard 4AA sort of format, which I know a lot of people said not to use that in the USA 1 unboxing, to go ahead and put a rechargeable battery pack in there, which I can't disagree with. Steering servo here with an adjustable link just there. Throttle servo over here. We have the throttle linkage on this side. We have the brake linkages here, which leads to 2 brake disc pads just there. Underneath that, we have the twin spur gears that marry up to the twin pinions over there, and that makes up your 2-speed transmission. Again, it looks like to be 5mm drive shafts running through the center there. We have aluminium hinge pin braces on the front of the rear A-arms, and we have aluminium hinge pin braces as well on the front of the front A-arms. Over here, this box is your receiver box. Again, taking that body pin off, you can see that it's kind of wrapped up in foam. These receiver boxes are not 100% waterproof, so don't go splashing this thing through massive puddles or anything like that. You could probably run it on like a wet road, but just don't go running through too much puddle water and stuff, because chances are, if water gets in here, and especially if it fries up your receiver, you're in all sorts of dramas. We have a rubber sealed on and off switch for the actual receiver itself, which is kind of cool to have, I suppose. Protects it against any spillage from nitro and water and so forth. Over on the other side, pretty straightforward. We have the fuel tank, our pipe, and of course our engine with the pull start just there. And that is pretty much it, wrapped up in a nice little bow. This is the GT2, Inferno GT2 from Kyosho in a nutshell. I don't mind this car. I just think that, you know, you're probably paying a lot of licensing money for this body and for the way that it looks, because underneath the body itself, I think that it could possibly be a little bit better. You could definitely get rid of some of this slop, you know, at the factory by refining some of those components, better quality shocks, a rear diffuser for the rear end of the car, and I think we'll see a much better looking platform. And for the electric version, these only run up to 4S. So I think a 6S version of this is definitely where it should be, even if it doesn't do like 90 miles an hour, but it should be able to do, you know, 60 plus miles an hour or something like that. For the price that these things are worth, yeah, you should have some better components in here. At least that's just my opinion. I'll leave it up to you to discuss in the comments what you think. And that wraps up my unboxing of the Kyosho Inferno GT2, which comes with the Mercedes-Benz 2020 AMG GT3. It is an absolutely gorgeous body, a really cool car, available in nitro and electric as well, and comes equipped with one of the best RTR radios that I've seen in recent years. If you guys enjoyed this unboxing, please be sure to hit that thumbs up button before you go. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new, and feel free to check out the video description. I'll have links in there to where you can get one of these here in Australia, as well as links to the Kyosho website if you want to check out some more specs and some more technical information about the car. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll be speaking to you all next time.